Hello, I'm Rex Childhouse, and because things on the internet seem to lose their date references pretty quick, today is Saturday, May 29, 2026. In April and May of 2026, we did a unusual vacation for us. We drove from San Diego County to the East Coast, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Virginia Beach, Nags Head, Kill Devil Hill, Kitty Hawk, and then back through North Carolina, back to San Diego. We hit more than 40 points of interest and drove 7,604.7 miles, if I remember it exact, and took over 20,000 photos. And previous vacations, we would be gone for 5, 6, 7 days, and when we would come home, I would put detailed videos up of the things we did, like our Railroad Trilogy videos. And with this, I did some trial runs. It takes about a minute and a half in Photoshop to get the photos aligned, cropped, titled, and then sequenced. So I'm kind of killing that. So what I decided to do was summaries of where we went. So today I'm publishing 2 summaries, and I'm going to use one video to do both of them. One summary is railroads, and we did Council Bluffs, Iowa, with the Union Pacific Railroad Museum, which is a really nice museum. It's a photo placard, small items museum. There's only one piece of rolling stock, and that's a speeder. You'll see that. Then we did Trains West, Rails West, right down the street. That was an add-on. Then we did Illinois Railway Museum in Union, Illinois, Pullman Car Company in the south side of Chicago, and we moved on. You'll see that in the railroad summary in the railroad video. And the other one is we did airplanes, and we did a lot of airplanes as well. The Wright Brothers, Dayton, Ohio, and the Trilogy, the Heritage Trail. And I don't have a lot of Wright Brothers in this aviation video, aircraft video, because I did a summary of just the Wright Brothers earlier. But we did the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force, which was phenomenal. It's a 2-day minimum stop. And we did both National Air and Space museums, the mall, which quite honestly I was disappointed with, and the Dulles facility, which is phenomenal. And we did several other aviation museums along the way, and that's what you're going to see. So let's get on with the videos. I'm not going to do specific site videos like I've done in the past. This is going to be summary videos to give you an idea of what you're going to be able to see. And that's just because it just takes too long to do the production, and with 20,000 plus photos, 40 plus points of view, points of interest, I'd like to get on with some of the other projects I've got. But if you've got questions, you probably know how to email me. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in another one. The first stop on our spring 2026 vacation, which we drove 7,604 miles in 33 days with 40 plus points of interest, was the Union Pacific Railroad Museum in Council Bluffs, Iowa, theoretically or factually, financially, where the Transcontinental Railroad started west. And it's in a former city library. There's only one piece of rolling stock, which is that speeder that's out in front. Everything else is what I would call indoor displays, graphic displays, presentations, whatever else. It is interesting. I would say that kids are going to enjoy this museum for a while. Very specifically, some of the exhibits they're going to absolutely love. Others are going to bore them. but it's a museum worth stopping, spending probably 2 hours going through it. It's an absolutely beautiful building, and we enjoyed our time there. It covers a variety of things, and if I would describe it as it's a museum that exposes how the railroad affected society and the population of the lands that it went through, because the railroads not only took away part of the survival ability, the livelihood, the food supply for Native Americans, for the Indians as it crossed the plains, it also created locations for towns, for other commerce to pick up. So was it a good or bad thing? Well, that'll be an argument that'll be run for many, many years, but you kind of have to think about it. I think this is a very well displayed museum. It's got a really nice number of features inside of it, and it's well worth the probably 2 to 3 hour stop in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Parking is on the street. We were there on a weekend. I'm not sure on a windy, cold weekend. I'm not sure how parking is managed on weekdays. It's next to the courthouse. I don't think you can park in the courthouse lot for free. But and there's a really nice city park right next to this that's well worth the time. I don't have any photos in the video of it, but it's well worth the time. Thanks for watching. Let's move on to the next one. Our next stop was an add-on. We were kind of ahead of schedule because we expected to spend more time at Union Pacific Railroad Museum than we did. So we opened up our Garmin GPS, and it's got a really nice feature in it, museums. And RailWest Museum was about half a mile away or so. We drove down there, and this is our time spent at RailWest Museum. Now, they have both indoor and outdoor displays, and the indoor display is the depot that they have. They used to have, and the signage shows it, they used to have an HO railroad layout inside the depot, and evidently, as we understood it, the individuals or the club that had the interaction with that lost the privilege to have it displayed there, so it was no longer available. It was gone. Anyways, 2 young ladies were running the museum. Sydney was one of them. I do not remember the other one's name. Sorry about that. But this was their first or second day on the job. So, okay, well, they were walking us around with the guidebooks and reading the guidebooks to us. So here's the way the museum works. You walk in, you pay your admission, they give you a notebook with a bunch of papers and documents in it that pretty much address most of the rolling stock of the museum, as well as indoor displays. So you've got a lot of information in front of you, which you're carrying around in this notebook. They were nice enough to walk us around with the notebook and read a fair amount of it. You do we got escorted through a number of the pieces of rolling stock, and they were explained to us. And I will tell you that even though they were reading the books to us, when the books went down, got closed, they were still fairly knowledgeable about the rolling stock that we were standing in. So it's not like they were hired yesterday and they know nothing. They had a pretty darn good knowledge. Whether how they studied and got it, I don't know. I didn't ask, but they seem to be interested in railroading. They seem to know a fair amount of railroading. And right next to the depot is an active Union Pacific Railroad set of rails and yard, and one of the a freight train came through while we were there. Anyways, this museum is weather worn. I will tell you that. it looks like a place that when somebody had rolling stock that they didn't want to pay to have it destroyed, crunched up, disposed of, it was offered to the museum, and the museum took it. It needs financial support. It needs support from people who are willing to do the restoration projects and take care of this stuff. With that said, it's still an interesting museum because the Union Pacific Railroad Museum right down the street only has one piece of real rolling stock, and that's the speeder outside that you can't get to, or we didn't get to because it's parked in a lawn. So these guys have the rolling stock. Maybe this Trails West Museum and Union Pacific Railroad Museum consolidate their efforts, and they become the outdoor exhibit for the Union Pacific Railroad Museum. But that's only an opinion. But there are a number of pieces of rolling stock in here. You can view them. I will tell you they are heavily worn. We are there on a fairly cold, somewhat breezy, fairly damp day, but we still enjoyed the tour. So if you're in Council Bluffs and this museum's available, I recommend you stop and see it. It's we thought it was overall worth it. Thanks for watching. Let's move on to another one. The Illinois Railway Museum was our third point of interest stop, and our third in a row focused on railroads, railways. And it is in Union, Illinois, which I'm going to say is 30 to 40 miles northwest of Chicago. There are no major streets near that get you there, so leaving there and getting down to the southwest corner of Chicago was kind of a challenge. We ended up on the tollway, which we really didn't want to be on. Anyways, this museum has a lot of steam engines, diesel engines, rolling stock of numerous types. The majority of it is in these barns that you're going to see as we go through here. I'm not going to narrate every slide as we go through. Majority of it is in these barns, and that protects them from the weather. Some of them is outside. They do have a trolley. Or when we were there the first weekend I think it opened, which was April 12th, and I think it was a Sunday. Yeah, it would have been a Sunday, I think. Anyways, yeah, we were there on Sunday, April 12th, and it's only open during the spring, summer, fall time frame with some very restricted hours. So before you head up that way, make sure you're on the right schedule to see it. Because of where it's located, I'm assuming that they made the decision to expend the money and put up the barns to protect their exhibits from the weather. Being near Chicago, the weather can be harsh. Vast majority, as I said, of their displays are in barns. The negative on this is barns are expensive, and these things are big. So if you want to build a barn to protect a railroad car, a locomotive, diesel or steam, it's got to be big, and they're expensive. So the barns are pretty heavily packed. There is a walkway, as you're going to see through these. There is a walkway between them, but if you wanted to get a good picture of the front, the back and the sides of the cars due to the way the cars, the various display exhibits are nose to tail. You can't always get a good shot of the front or the rear, and due to the width of the aisles, you can't always get a good shot of the side. The museum has really good signage, and it focuses on railways. You're going to see a couple of cars in here because they have a high wheeler, which is a car or truck that's been modified. This one's a car that's been modified to run on the railroad rails, which is kind of cool. And they have a couple of cars on display because at one time cars were shipped inside box cars, and how did they do that? So they've got that display. Really good museum. We rode the trolley once. They don't ask you, I don't recall being asked for tickets when we got on the trolley, because the trolley is included in your general admission. And the narrated trolley ride was really cool. Kids would love it. I'm going to say it was 5 to 7 minutes long, as it takes you around the majority of the museum, and was narrated rather nicely. It was kind of fun to take, and the kids that were with us were really enjoying it. There's a couple of things of interest to us that really kind of piqued my wife's interest. She loves the snow plows, particularly the rotary snow blowers, and they had one on display. You saw her standing in front of it, I think, or will somewhere in this video. Kind of cool. And one of the things that just kind of interests me, because it never really panned out. They did them, we've seen a couple of them on display, as the Union Pacific gas turbine electric diesel units, non-diesel gas turbines, and the massive hoppers, the massive tenders that were carrying the jet fuel for these things. And those things, they got a reputation as being real screamers, but it didn't pan out, so they went back to pure diesel electrics, traditional diesel electrics. And they've got one. There's another one on display up in Utah, just north of Salt Lake City. Kind of cool. I grew up on the south side of Chicago and rode the CTA L trains, and if you rode the Kedzie bus up to 63rd and Kedzie, then you could actually transfer over to a streetcar. And they've got some numerous streetcars on display at this museum, which just brought back memories. I really enjoyed their exhibits. Throughout the museum, their exhibits were really cool, and the stuff about the CTA and transiting Chicago, that just added to it, because it was fun, and I enjoyed growing up in Chicago. We picked the places we visit on our vacations for a multitude of reasons, and we were at the Pullman Car Company, Pullman City, which is the southwest southern edge of the city of Chicago, about 111th and Cottage Grove, for a rather emotional reason. I was about 10 years old. My mom, who grew up in Roseland, 103rd Place in Perry, which is about 1.25 miles away from where the opening shots of this video were, where this entire section of the video is taken, had girlfriends that their parents worked for the Pullman Car Company, and she took me to the buildings of the Pullman Car Company. The company was out of business. The warehouses that you see that are dilapidated and being worked on were set up as a Christmas gift fair, and they had all sorts of stuff in there. And my mom said, you're going to be able to pick out your own Christmas present, and we'll get it off to Santa so he can bring it to you for Christmas. And I picked up that Tyco Atlas HO scale GP7 or 9, EMD GP7 or 9, which you saw as you went by it and didn't understand why it was there. I still have that train. It still runs. I still have most of the rolling stock, and it runs, and we're heavily into trains. We love trains. So I wanted to come back and see the Pullman Car Company. We set it up, and the information we had in our schedule said that it was open Monday through Saturday. Well, it's closed Sunday and Monday, and we were there on Monday. So, and it annoys me because I lost the business card of the individual you're going to see later on in this photo standing with us. There's 2 people in this series of photos besides my wife and myself. One of them is Corey, and the other guy in the uniformed golf shirt works for the state of Illinois, preserving parts of the Pullman Car Company site. And we show up on Monday intent on seeing the National Monument to the Pullman Car Company, and it's closed because the information we had in our schedule was wrong. And I searched the internet afterwards, and I've got conflicting information. One site, the National Park site, says it's closed Sunday and Monday, and another site says that it's open Monday through Saturday. So it's our mistake. But we showed up on Monday. It was closed. We're walking around. This individual, which I have to figure out the contact info for before I interrupt and tell him this is a really emotional place for here and for me, and this is why. And he and I'm going to paraphrase, oh, that's like really cool. He says, we're working to preserve this place. The state of Illinois has this chunk of it, and the United States government, National Park Service, National Monument has another chunk of it, and collectively we're working to preserve it. And he walks us around the area and gives us a lot of information about the company itself and the area and what's being done to it. And quite honestly, it was one of the highlights of our trip. And it was a total fluke. He'd spent a fair amount of time with us. I can't tell you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. He spent a fair amount of time with us, telling us about the company, telling us about the site, what they're doing to us, what their intentions are, what their efforts are, and they're hoping to bring it back, and some of the other organizations that are working in the area, because not only is there a factory, but there's a workers' town, and there's 2 or 3 different sections of town for the workers. And the general workers work just south of the plant. The management guys work just north of the plant. And as we drive away from here, you're going to see some of the houses. We couldn't get into the southern area. All the streets were under construction, and this was really emotional. So this was our run to the Pullman Car Company on the south side of Chicago. This was really cool. We are at the Henry Ford, and they do not refer to that as a museum. It is a complex. Inside the complex is the American Museum of Innovation, I think is its title. Anyways, as this goes, I'm going to stop talking because I'm going to take you on a train ride around Greenfield Village, which is part of the complex.
And this is a favorite, one of my favorites, and a favorite of a lot of our folks. So, Saturday we did the Union Pacific Museum in Council Bluffs, the RailWest Museum in Council Bluffs. Very good.
There will be space to exit on the right-hand side. Please wait for them.
The farmhouse that we will be approaching was the birthplace of Henry Ford. He was born here in July of 1863, and the farm was located just outside of Detroit. If you have a chance sometime, stop by the farmhouse. You can go inside and see what life was like for Henry growing up here as a young boy. Now, if you look to your left, just past the farmhouse, you can look down on our main street. Here you'll find the Ford Motor Company, Mary Cohen's Millinery, the Heinz Home, Wright Cycle Shop, Wright Home, Town Hall, and our 1913 Herschel's Building Carousel. The only carousel that was built that had a frog is one of its riding figures. We also have a frozen custard ice cream stand. We're now coming up to Menlo Park. This was Thomas Edison's laboratory in New Jersey. He's credited with over 1,200 patents for this facility. If you have a chance, you can stop by, go inside, and if you go up to the second level, you'll be able to see 3 of his inventions that are on display. Now, if you look to your left across the street, the yellow building is the Sarah Jordan boarding house. This is where all the single young men that worked for Edison would stay and live. It was one of the first few buildings Edison had electrified. We're now approaching the Eckley Bridge. This is our gateway to our Horses and Harvest District. From Susquehanna Station, you can go up the hill into Noah Webster's home. He is credited with giving us our first American dictionary that took over 25 years to complete. Or you can go into the Giddings and Frost homes, or stroll down Maple Lane to see all of the homes we have here in the village. You can even go into our Susquehanna plantation, or to the end of Maple Lane to our Daggett farmhouse. As we come into Susquehanna, I ask everyone to please remain seated until we come to a complete stop. Once the whistle sounds, it will be safe to exit on the left-hand side.
And I'm going to stop talking again here in a couple seconds. As we were walking around Greenfield Village, which is a historic building complex put together by Henry Ford, we came across a turntable, and we were talking to the guy, and I said something about turning it, and he said, "Do you want to?" And I said, "Why not?"
Then we'll follow the fence all the way around the other side. Okay? Yep. The reason is we don't want to walk this way and trip on the rail. I agree with that. We could do it that way, and I've seen pictures of doing it that way. And I'm sure somewhere along the line somebody stepped on the rail and slipped, caught their foot, and so we do it this way.
We generate more lawyers in this country.
All right, so let's go this way.
Okay.
You can go ahead. Just walk along the track. That's all there is. Really is your body mass. I tell them you don't want to push these back, hurt your back. You want to use one mass, lean forward, keep going. We have to remember the 99, right? So we have our momentum. We don't want to go more than 1 mile an hour. Because I got little known fact is, you go 2 miles an hour, turn up 40 tons, to 160. You're not going to stop it. You're going to walk nice and easy. We have it. It's inertia. Stop unless we apply equal and opposite force in the opposite direction. And again, all we are going to do is take a hold of our rod, right? Hold on, and lean back just a little bit. And immediately the one that stood up. It's that easy. We'll line it up with the next track.
Nicely done.
Yeah. Now this is the thing. Like I said, this is so well balanced. It's a good lock in. And about the only maintenance we do on this thing is check to make sure the slide is moving freely, lubricate that, and they'll change out the oil.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Now I had to do no maintenance on the cemetery at Orange Empire.
Okay.
But I had to have them.
There's a fair amount of trains in Greenfield Village. The roundhouse is absolutely spectacular, and there's actually 3 levels of it. One of them you can go down in a pit and you can get underneath a steam engine, which they have cleaned up significantly so it's not greasy. It's really cool. You'll see some of the photos from underneath the steam engine. I wish I had better photos to explain to them, but anyways, you can go down in the pit, really clean, really well presented steam engine sitting there, and you can look up at the belly of the steam engine and various details, and you can walk around limited steam engines on the ground floor and get really close to them, which is nice because they are mechanical marvels. And if you understand how a steam engine works, there's a lot of physics in these things. It's really interesting. And you can climb, walk up the stairs to the balcony and look down on the steam engines. And a fair amount of these steam engines are operating. So these are well maintained, and it's like really cool. And the staff that's in the greenhouse, the roundhouse, the staff throughout the entire park is extremely interactive. Ask them a question and you're going to get a answer, you're going to get a response. They're going to take their time. The guy working the turntable was one example. So I mean, he could have stood there and explained how it works. I know how it works. He said, why don't you try it? Kind of cool. The clean interior pictures that start showing up here are the ones inside the American Museum of Innovation. I think that's its name. The signage is really good. The presentations are really nice. It's obviously well lit. You can walk among these, and there's actually quite a few trains that are on display, railroad materials that are on display. steam engines, diesel engines, cabooses, snow plows, various types of rolling stock, various types of tools. This was a really good on both Greenfield Village and over on the American Museum of Innovation. I think that was the name. It's a complex, and if you're going to go spend 2 days, you're going to spend 2 days there. You cannot see this in 1 day unless you want to run through it, which isn't very much fun. So really cool, really fun. I enjoyed it. This was a fantastic stop. It was Thursday, April 23rd, 2026, as I think I have it correct, that we visited the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania in Strasburg, Pennsylvania. And there's another museum that not associated with them right across the street, and I have no information on that, and I wish we had known about it. But one of my annoyances is trying to find museums to tour and information about areas, even searching with the artificial stupidity intelligence of the internet. You don't seem to find everything. Anyways, this is an absolutely fantastic museum. It was one of several museums, 737 photos taken. Unfortunately, not all of them came out. I've got an issue with my camera, and I think it's self-healing. I think I damaged the view screen, and it's not focusing correctly. But here's just an inkling of some of the photos that we took while we were there. I really liked this museum. It had really good signage, plus it went the entire spectrum from the very start of railroading into modern day, and it included model railroading, as you see in the pictures as we go by this. And it's got a lot of stuff we hadn't seen before, and stuff we'd seen occasionally before, and not in mass. They have a couple of thermos engines, fireless engines, locomotives. I don't know if you can call them engines. Yeah, I guess you can call them engines, where you put what's referred to as liquid steam, superheated water into a container, and then you tap that container, and as you tap it, because that water is at such a high temperature, it comes out of a container of steam, and therefore you can run them through power drive pistons and operate them as a steam engine. But as they run out of that superheated water, they've got to go back and get more superheated water. You can't stoke a fire underneath them. They had a couple of different of those versions of those engines, which were really cool. Interesting the way technology has provided with different ways to make trains move. Kind of really cool. Really enjoyed this. Talked to the docents on several issues, several questions, and among other things, we took the free outside tour, and the docent that led that, really informative, and some of the stuff outside's in pretty darn good shape. Some of it that's outside is definitely lost to the elements. The museum is also expanding. They are building a new roundhouse, so part of their outdoor exhibit, which I understood would have normally been opened, has been closed, and you can see in the outside photos the new roundhouse is off in the back. This is a really good museum. A lot of their stuff is indoors. It's in my opinion, it's child friendly, it's ADA friendly. Good signage, good lighting, a lot of opportunities for good photos, and we really enjoyed probably 4 to 4.5 hours while we were there, and probably would have spent more time if we hadn't had to drive another 3-4 hours off to our motel for the night. So this is definitely if it's near your path, definitely a place to go. Thanks for watching. It's the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania in Strasburg, Pennsylvania. On Monday, April 27, 2026, we visited the B&O Railroad Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. Another outstanding, fantastic museum. The one thing I'm going to give them, and you'll see it, it's actually Chicago Northwestern Railroad. Northwestern's 2 words, not 1 word. It's a common error, and if you looked at that engine closely, it's actually C ampersand for and dash WR. So other than that, this is a fantastic railroad that covers the beginning of railroading, from the very basic steam engines, horse-drawn carts on rails, things like that, up to the modern diesel electric stuff. And it is a fantastic museum. I think we spent 6 hours there, and once you're in, plan on being there for a while. The roundhouse that is part of this museum is absolutely beautiful. The workmanship that is in the roundhouse is absolutely awesome, and the floor, the entire place. We were there during late April, and there were 2 different school groups, at least 2 different school groups that interacted with us, and that was kind of interesting. This is a museum with really good signage, with the exception of Chicago and Northwestern, with really good signage. I was impressed. I just generally wish museums would figure out a way to have non-reflective signage. It does have model railroading displays inside and outside, and it the docents that we talked to were really cool, really well informed, and there's a lot of stuff presented here. And we were kind of getting a kick out of the model railroading stuff, because we do Z, N, H, O, S, O, and G in our model railroading here at home, and they had examples of all of them. This is a really beautiful building. It's inside and 2 different sections, so to speak, of outside, and we tramped over both outside sections, and according to my camera, 570 photos were taken during our time there. And I'm not explaining every shot anymore. I'm going to general. If you're going to go to this museum, this is the kind of stuff you're going to see. This is the kind of stuff you're going to enjoy. And this was a really, really well presented museum. I enjoyed it. My wife enjoyed it, and we both walked away from here really, really satisfied. So it is Baltimore, Maryland. It is free parking on site, which makes it nice. There is no snack bar, no food available inside, but we walked out to our car a couple of different times to get access to our water and to our pop bottles and snacks. So sit back and enjoy this. It's going to be dead air. It's and I wish the outside stuff had better signage, but so much. Anyway, sit back, enjoy it. You're going to have dead air for a little bit, and then we'll pick it back up again. Thanks for watching. Also on Monday, April 27, 2026, we were at the National Museum of American History, Smithsonian, primarily for the Star-Spangled Banner flag. And here's some of the pictures we have of the trains, railroad-related displays that the museum has. We didn't spend a whole lot of time there. I didn't get a whole lot of good pictures after the Star-Spangled Banner focus, which was in another video. My wife's interest was in the First Lady's gowns, and then we were just kind of milling around, and we closed the place down. As we were finishing, they were literally locking the door and pushing people out. So I got a couple. I didn't get a lot. I would like to go back and see more of their displays. They do have numerous items. There's other museums in the DC area related to railroads. The North Carolina Transportation Museum is not just a railroad museum. It's focused or constructed on railroad property, former railroad property, but it has numerous other things in there, including Mookie. Now, you're going to meet Mookie later on. She was kind of friendly. This is an extremely young person friendly museum, very ADA compliant, and really it was fantastic. It's got more in it than trains, so I've got a couple of random pictures in here: airplane, cars, trucks, and it was a absolutely phenomenal, outstanding museum. We were there on a cold, wet, slightly breezy day, so thankfully most of the exhibits are inside, and you're going to see those as we run through these. And this was another one of those, holy cow, these guys managed to do this with whatever funds were available and present a really outstanding museum with a lot of fantastic exhibits. You get to walk through a number of these, and they show you in the Army medical car what they got as their donation and what their people were able to rebuild it from, which was totally impressive. This concludes our just some peeks at the 9 museums that were substantially railroad museums on our 33-day 7,604-mile vacation, driving from Southern California to Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., down to Virginia Beach, Nag's Head, Kill Devil Hill, for the Wright brothers, then Charlotte, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Memphis, Flagstaff home with entry stops, which I omitted, Council Bluffs, Iowa for the Union Pacific Railroad Museum, and RailWest. This was a really fun trip, and hope you enjoyed just a quick look at some of the places we went, and maybe it'll inspire some of your travels. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in another one.